everybody, Trey here, and this is our fourth installment of our theory quick series. Not going to prolong the time at all. We're going to deal with today or tonight, depending on when you watch this, we're going to deal with the common chords that are used in gospel music. So of course there are many chords and many variations and versions of those chords, but if you can simply learn these chords in root position, and not only learn how to play the chord, how to form it, but to learn how to hear it. When you hear a song on the record, you can automatically call out that chord. You'll be in the game. All right, let's hop down to C quickly. If you watched last week, and I hope you all did, we learned how to form a major chord. 1, 3, and the 5. We learned how to form a minor chord, 1 flat, 3, and 5. We learned the sounds and the moods, or the spirits, if you will, that come along with those sounds. Okay, so now we're going to move a step further. We're going to add on to that. Now in gospel music, if you know how to play the major, the minor, we're going to deal with the dominant 7. Sometimes it's just called the 7, and sometimes it's just called the dominant. But they're all the same thing. We're going to deal with the dominant 7. We're going to deal with the augmented chord, and we're going to deal with the diminished chord. Okay. We kind of dealt with the diminished a little bit last week, but I'm going to give you a little bit more application. All right. So the dominant chord. So again, these are building blocks, okay? It's cumulative. So we have, let's play it in D flat. So we have the 1, 3, 5, the major chord in D flat. To make it a dominant 7, a couple of ways you can look at it, but to make it simple, from the 5th tone, that A flat, just walk up 3 half steps. A flat, 1, 2, 3. And we add that onto the major chord. Okay? And you can simply look at it as playing a D flat major chord with the flat 7. So what's the 7 in the key of D flat? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we learn to flatten it. You just drop it down. Okay? And you all should recognize this sound. That's the dominant sound. We hear it a lot in gospel music. Dominant is 1, 3, 5, flat 7. Doesn't matter what key you're in. Learn how to just transition to any key. Key of A flat. Major scale. 1, 3, 5. The 7 is here. We can drop it down. Okay? Let's do the key of E flat. Major scale is E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D, E flat. Numerically, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 1. Okay? So you have 1, 3, 5, 7 is D. We're going to flatten it. Okay? So in the context of a gospel song, I'm just going to do this for demonstration. We don't only play that on the 1, but you will hear that dominant used a lot on the 1, the 2, and the 5. Okay, so let's just give you a little application. This is the 1. 2, 5, 1. Okay, and we don't always play it exactly like that. Usually in gospel music, you will hear this chord broken up. this way, but it's all making the same sound, that dominant sound. Okay, and we'll get into this later. All I want to teach you all today or tonight is how to form the chord. Okay, so don't worry about the progressions and stuff I'm playing, just how to form a dominant 7. It's the 1, 3, 5, flat 7. Okay? Alright, so now let's hop into the augmented chord. Moving to the key of E flat. Now the augmented chord, again, you go back to your major chord, the root. To augment this chord, we take the 5, the 5th note of the major scale, and we raise it up. We sharpen it by a half step. Okay? Again, E flat major scale. So we're going to play the 1, 3, 5 and sharpen the 5. And by itself, honestly, that's a pretty ugly chord. But you can think of the augmented chord as a transitional chord, okay? So it's not one that you would typically resolve on or end a progression on, but something you would use to transition from a chord to another. Let's give you a good example. Let me know if you can figure out this song. And you're listening to my left hand. I'm going to play the augmented chord just in a different inversion, and we're going to deal with inversions later. This is still an E flat augmented, okay? Okay? So really the major movements in that progression in the left hand are the 1 to like a 4. Okay? But in that example, and that song was I'm Still Holding On by Luther Barnes, that augmented chord, instead of moving the bass to the 4, you can stay on the 1. But say we did want to move to the 4. The 4 in E flat is A flat. Okay? Again, I said the augmented chord is good when used as a transitional chord. So, if I want to transition to the A flat, I can see that the G and the A surround that A flat. So I can use the augmented chord to transition to the 4, either moving up from the G or moving down from the A. Okay, let's apply it. See that? So now let's try it from the opposite direction. And you hear that a lot. Moving from the note above the 4 to the 4, that's used a lot in gospel music. How many times have you heard that? Okay? So as a general rule in gospel music, you can play that augmented in a series of chords, all on the 1 or the first note of the major scale. Or you can play it transitioning to the 4. Playing from the note below and moving up, or playing from the note above and moving down. Very simple. So I'm giving you a few applications, but again, I don't want you to focus on the chord progressions, moreover, just learning how to form these chords. So an augmented chord is major chord, raise the 5. Okay? That's all it is. All right, next we're going to move to F major. And this is our last progression, or our last chord rather, the diminished chord. So the diminished chord, you can look at it as 3 sets of 3 half-step movements. 3 sets of 3 half-step movements. So starting on middle C, 1, 2, 3, that's 1 set of half steps, of 3 half steps. Hold on to that, We're going to play 3 more. Okay, that's 2 sets. That's your diminished chord, but typically in gospel music we play the diminished 7. So from the G flat, 1, 2, 3, and that makes it a diminished 7. Okay? And you can invert this, which simply means to rearrange the notes. I can take this C and put it on top, and now I have this. Same chord, different arrangement or inversion. But to name a diminished chord, you always name it by the note on the bottom. So this would be a C diminished 7. Okay? This would be an E flat diminished 7. Even though it's the same notes, we're going by this root note. Okay? And you'll see why when we apply the bass. So I'm in the key of F major. Say I want to play from the 1 to the 4. The major scale is F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 1. So I want to play the progression from 1 to 4. It's pretty standard. Okay, so like in the previous example with the augmented chord, we want to get to the 4. We want a transition chord. See, this diminished chord is another good transitional chord. We want to go here. So this note lies between what? A and B. Okay? So for the augmented chord, I said I typically go down to the note I want to move to. But with the diminished, I typically move up. It can work either way, but this is just what I do, okay? So the note before the B flat is A, so let's build a diminished 7 from the A. Okay? So I want to play this chord on the A and then move to the 4, the B flat. Let's try it. See that? I'll give you one more. And this is a standard in what we call contemporary gospel music, or contemporary Christian music, I'm sorry. And that's the 1, 5, 6, 4. So I want to lead into all those notes. So from the 1 to the 5, I want to play a diminished on the B. Why? Because that leads into the 5. So the 6 is D. I want to lead into that from the D flat. Okay? And of course the 4 is B flat again, and we already know that diminished chord from the A. Okay, so the B, let's build the diminished chord. Okay? D flat, let's build the diminished chord. We already know it for the A. And again, I'm showing you these progressions, but I don't want you to focus on these. Just know how to build a diminished chord, and we'll get into progressions in another lesson. Okay? So let's just apply just for your, just FYI. Into the 5, diminished to the 6, diminished to the 4. All right, so that concludes this lesson. We've covered, we reviewed the major and minor chords. You should have learned those last week, and we added on the augmented chord and the diminished 7. Get these chords in your mind, practice them in all your keys. Very simple, and learn how to recognize these keys in a song when you hear them. All right, thank you guys for listening. I'll catch up with you later.